Hi everyone, my name is Jasmine Bradford and I am the social worker.
I'm Caitlin Havelka and I'm playing the role of the wife.
I'm Jake Juliana and I'm playing the role of the husband in this scenario.
Yep. So as we said, the scenario is about marital problems. So we decided to use this scenario because within the dynamic of the two that are married, they can impact the relationships outside. So in regards to like their parenting styles, and we're also going to explore how probably different other dynamics or aspects of their lives can impact what they have going on right now. Cool? Yeah? All right. Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Bradford, and I just want to say thank you for coming in, just to get you a little bit more acquainted with our private practice. This is focused on family therapy. So I do want to let you guys know that whatever goes on within this room is 100% confidential. And just for my purpose of, doing a thorough analysis, I will be taking down notes. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So exactly what brings you in today?
I don't really know. Maybe she can explain.
Yeah, so we have two kids and, we kind of have different parenting styles and it's kind of, we're not on the same page when it comes to how we want to handle things. So that's created a lot of tension within our relationship and between us and our kids.
So do you mind more so going into how did you meet? Let's start there.
So we met in college. We met in a class that we had together, and we dated for a long time. And then it turned out that she was pregnant, and she had to drop out, and I stayed in school to finish my degree. And then, after our first kid, we decided to get married. And then, after our second kid, it just kind of went from there, and now we're just at this rough spot where our kids are sort of in that adolescent stage.
So I heard that you had to drop out because you were pregnant. How did that make you feel?
Very overwhelmed. I, wouldn't have been able to take on, and I grew up in a household that was very revolved around family. So making sure that I took care of myself and, was going to be there when the child arrived was super important. So that's ultimately why I wanted to drop out. But looking back, I wish that I would have, continued my education. Currently a stay-at-home mom. And I know that's kind of what he wants is, gender roles of me being at home, doing all the stuff, and he's, the breadwinner in this situation. But I think having an education is super important, but I think that's why we're having so much problems is because I think that the children's education is super important and I don't want them to grow up in the same kind of situation that I did. So that's kind of what my situation was going through college.
Okay. So I did hear you talk about gender roles, which we definitely want to touch on that. But I also wanted to ask you about more so what was your upbringing, or how did, your cultural background affect how you want to parent as well?
So my family was very revolved around money, and family was never a huge thing for me. It was just more about money and about friends and being social and going out. And I just don't see family as a huge important dynamic in our relationship and our family especially.
Okay. How was your relationship with your family growing up?
It was fine. It was good. I mean, not super close, but.
Okay. So she discussed gender roles and how it seems as though, to her, it seems as though being a breadwinner is more so your role, and hers being a stay-at-home mom. How does that make you feel, or can you discuss more on that?
I mean, I have to be making more money. I'm the man, and I do, and I don't see a problem with that at all.
Okay. So with money, do you feel as though, how does that make you feel when you do provide for your family in that sense?
I mean, it feels fine, I guess.
Okay. So it seems as though you guys have different upbringings that obviously plays a really big part in how you're parenting. So based on what you hear from each other, what can you take from that in regards to how the other one feels of parenting?
I mean, I do want us to be able to compromise because marriage and relationships are all about compromising. So I'm hoping that we can find somewhere in the middle between a social aspect for the kids and an educational, and incorporate a little bit more family time into our relationship with the kids, because at this point we have 2 teenagers that are involved in a lot of extracurricular activities that doesn't allow much time for us in the evenings or on the weekends to spend time together. So I think like even just sitting down for meals is something we never get the chance to do. So I think spending more time together and, you know, compromising with each other would be.
I mean, I see no problem. We spend enough time, I think, as it is, and, I mean, we probably have family meals once a week, which is fine with me. They're off doing their extracurricular activities, and they're being social, and that's very important to me.
So based on, you know, how you have been raised, and how obviously, well, as you have said, family wasn't a really huge priority, do you feel as though that plays a big role in how your interactions with your family are currently, and why?
I mean, like I said, we, I think, see each other enough, and I mean, I don't see any problem with my approach. You know, I see my kids and my wife when I see them, and, you know, like we talked about, I'm the breadwinner, so I'm working and making money, so I think that's super important, and obviously the social time that we have comes later on.
Okay. Do you think that connects with how you were raised in regards to your family, more so putting the breadwinner role before actually having that family time?
I guess so, yeah, I guess I can kind of see that.
Right.
So I do see where he's coming from, and like we grew up in 2 totally different households. His family was very wealthy, and I grew up in a rural setting where we didn't have a lot of money, so that wasn't our top priority, and we really valued family and time together. But when it comes to the kids, I think that he's more worried about the social aspect, because, you know, that's what he valued in college, I think, and growing up as a kid with his peers. And I more so value, like I want the kids to get a good education because of the background that I come from. I don't want them to have like the same situation for their family as like what I grew up in. So I want them to go to college, get an education, and be able to get a good job for themselves to support their families.
Okay. So hearing her side, and from hearing his side as well, do you feel as though you can meet in the middle in regards to having a balance in between the social aspect, because that does seem like a very part of a value that you have in bringing into your children, but also making sure that they focus on their academics as well. True. So do you think you can compromise in that sense?
I mean, I guess so. I mean, I look where I am now. I have a good job, I'm making money, and I mean, I got C's throughout school, but I still have a degree, I still have a good job, I make a lot of money, so I guess so, but I don't really see the issue in it. Social aspect is way more important for them to have friends.
So from hearing that he, it seems like though he's in a sense willing, but seems to not see that importance, how does that make you feel?
I think we have different perspectives because he got a degree, and I feel like if he had also dropped out of college, he might see kind of the situation that I am envisioning, because if they don't have good grades in high school, how are they going to get into a good college? How are they going to maintain their grades through college and get that degree and have the motivation to do so, is the way I'm looking at it.
I guess so. I guess I just never had to work hard in high school. I just got in because of my parents. Interesting.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So with that, we can go on to the next part of, trying to, create a goal that will help you guys in the sense of bringing your family, to a stronger, connect, and as well seeing both sides. So I know that you did bring up the sense of probably having more family time. So from what you said, you guys, have dinner about once a week, if I'm correct?
Around there,
Yeah. So what do you feel as though would be the best options on, creating a stronger bond and having that balance in between?
yeah. I mean, I guess they could drop a club and spend more time at home, if that's what you really want.
It's not that I want them to drop out of any of the social aspects, I just think that we need to set aside a time to, like, in the fall, if we go to like a corn maze, or we do bowling one night, or even just sit down to watch a movie, like, that's not something that we ever get the chance to do, so I feel like the kids aren't as close to us as I was with my parents. So if we, like, some nights or some weeks we don't even get to have dinner with the kids or as a family, so I think establishing like at least once a week we have dinner together, or like some kind of like an outing or like a stay at home where one night or one afternoon is like just us bonding together.
I also want to, in the plan, it sounds like a really great idea, but also focus on the academic aspect. So maybe before you go to that extra or more of a outing event, do some study, like some studying time with them as well. Do you think that would help in a sense of having that study time before or after dinner, then going to dinner and then having a social event?
Yeah, I know, like, our one kid has been struggling with, like, his grades, our older son. He's 15, and he's definitely more worried about, like, all of his sports. He plays football, so, like, when he comes home from practice, like, and he basically just eats dinner and crashes right away. Like, I think, like, making sure that he's on top of his schoolwork is super important, so before we plan something and have dinner, and before like we send them off, make sure that they have their work done that they need to have done for school.
Definitely. So yeah, to implement that, do you feel as though a family meeting would probably help in regards to starting this plan off? And I would suggest, at least having that time to, discuss with them what type of changes would be made, just so it doesn't, catch the children off guard in any sense. And just making sure that you are, being as transparent as you need to be with the children, just to let them know what can happen or what can occur to make sure that bond does occur in the family. Cool. So before we turn, is there any feelings or any comments you would like to express before going on to the next step?
I just think that, us meeting here today was probably a really good thing for us. And like, thank you for coming with me today. I really appreciate that. And I feel like we're on not exactly the same page now, but I feel like we're closer to the same page. We might be able to get there within, a couple more meetings with you.
Yes, definitely. So that was going into the next one of having some type of follow-up appointment. So we can bi-weekly, if that sounds good to you, or even once a month, just keep having annual or consistent check-ins on how is it going, if that new plan or is going pretty good to achieving that overall goal of becoming a stronger family, and how that works for you. Cool. All right, so I just want to motivate you guys to keep going. It is a pretty long process, but just making sure that you are hearing each other out and understanding that, different aspects or different parts of your background can, affect how raising your children can be difficult or can be challenging, but can also make your family dynamic stronger. Cool? All right, thank you so much for coming out, and hope you have a good day.
Thank you.
No problem.